Hi readers! I'm excited to announce that next year I will be doing a YouTube series on women in war. This series will be centered around books, both fiction and nonfiction, and will probably consist of one video a month because to do this series right, I'm going to need to do actual research rather than the Google searches that I did to make this video. Google's great, but sometimes, most of the time, it only allows you to skim the surface of a topic and not really do a deep dive and get a deep understanding of something. That said, for this videos, I have included the sources in the description box, so check them out. Some of them are really great. I am currently reading Goodnight, Irene, and this book introduced me to something I had not heard of before, and that was donut dollies. Now, donut dollies were actually started in World War I, and I think the book describes it better than I can, so let's read. We came into existence in 1917 during the Great War. Salvation Army volunteers entered the trenches with the boys and lived in the squalor and horror. And the boys in their suffering asked the ladies if they had anything sweet, any cake, any pastries. You can imagine that there was no such thing. So some of these women snuck to farms and purchased eggs. They returned and used biscuit flour with the eggs to make a dough. They added sugar, and they filled those Brit helmets with oil and heated it all over a fire. And that's how our donuts were created. So that's how they came about in World War I. I'm primarily interested right now in World War II. And in World War II, the Red Cross mobilized its Clubmobile program. Each Clubmobile had 3 workers and provided a taste of home to service members, both in the rear and on the front lines. Again, I read. It had not taken them long after arriving at Glatton to understand that their service was not truly about donuts and coffee. They had seen enough boys fail to return from a morning flight. The real service was that their faces, their voices, and their send-off might be the final blessing from home for some of these young pilots. The enormity of this trivial-seeming job became clearer every day. From 1942 until VE Day, the Donut Dollies served in France, Germany, Italy, Belgium, and Luxembourg. Post-war, in 1946, they served in Great Britain and with the Army of Occupation in Germany. Their jobs were not without peril, so each female applicant was required to be a college grad, at least 25, single. They had to undergo personality interviews to make sure they had the personality to do the job and to withstand the horrors of war. They had to provide reference letters and undergo physical exams. I talked about the horrors of war and that their jobs were not without peril. In the description box below, I have added a link to an article from archives.gov about a woman named Elizabeth Richardson, and it's about her service and death as a donut dolly in the 1940s. This is the kind of article that I would really done more research on for my series next year. As it is, I just skimmed it today. I do intend to go back and read that article in its entirety later, and I encourage you to as well. It's a fascinating article. Finally, some statistics. Sorry, folks, this is rough. The Red Cross lost 86 workers in World War II, 52 of whom were women, slow down, Lee, and 34 were men, all lost as a result of their service. Now, my focus is on World War II, but as we know, Donut Dollies started in World War I, and they continued through Korea and Vietnam. There are a lot of resources-ish on the internet about Vietnam Donut Dollies, and I believe there's actually a documentary about them, which I might check out sometime next year. I apologize for the stumbles and the hesitations on this video. Really, I'm trying to get a feel for what I want to do next year in this series and give you a sneaky peek and accept and accept any input you have for me on this series. I'd sure appreciate it. That's all for me now. I've got some reading and some work on this series to do. Happy reading!